Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video on the channel. A little bit of an ugly day today for the NASDAQ, definitely giving you a little bit of uncertainty, right? Breaking down below some key levels, looking to see whether we're going to hold up, whether there's more downside, and that uncertainty that you may feel, and something that I definitely feel right now, is what I believe is causing this market to start to slow down, right? A lot of people questioning whether we can continue higher. Is this a real move higher? Are we going to pull back? And all of that uncertainty is what I believe is starting to dry up some of the buying that we have seen over the last few days. Now, as you guys may know, I am someone that is in a few swing trades, and today was not the best for some of these swings. In today's video, I want to go ahead and talk about how I manage these swing trades that I have, things that I go ahead and look at, whether I sell them, whether I hold them, technical levels that I focus on, and just more about the psychology behind how to swing trade some of these longer dated options, right? Do you get out of a long-term position that you're green on just because the NASDAQ moved down one day? We'll go ahead and talk about some of those topics. So we'll go ahead and touch on Facebook, which did pretty bad today for me, still up on it overall, but a pretty ugly day, not something that I'm very happy to watch today, right? The next one is Qualcomm. Qualcomm is doing very well for me. A little bit of consolidation today. Not too bad of a day for Qualcomm, but still, I want to go ahead and talk through how I manage these positions. So we're going to touch on the psychology, the technicals behind some of these swing trades. So hopefully you guys out there, if you're swing trading options, swing trading longer dated positions, get a good idea of how I look at it, and maybe it can help you manage these positions in the future. So if you guys enjoyed today's video, press that like button, subscribe to the channel, and make sure to press the bell down below so you know every single time that I post. All right, guys, so we're going to go ahead and start this video off with just a real quick analysis of the NASDAQ today. Give us an idea of where we pulled back to, whether this market still could potentially have more upside, or if we're really breaking down some key levels. So here is today on the NASDAQ. This is the 1 hour chart on the /NQ. This is the NASDAQ futures. Now, you guys can see we've had a nice run higher. Everyone knows NASDAQ has been on a very nice move higher, right? Continuing higher, continuing higher. And Friday of last week, we went ahead and hit our peak. We hit around 16,450. We can go ahead and put it right there at around 16,450 on the NASDAQ. Now, since then, we have seen a little bit of consolidation, and today, a little bit of a move lower. Now, today, there is one level that you can probably see in the chart that you're looking at, which I did select to see that we held, and that is right here around that 16,180. So you can see a little bit of congestion here between Wednesday and Thursday of last week, and we pulled back to it and found some support today on the NASDAQ. Now, I think this is going to be a very key level here for the NQ. If we hold up here right around this 16,180, I'm actually going to go ahead and edit that. I'm going to put it down at these lows, right around here, around 16,155. Right in this area, you can call this a little bit of a zone. I think if we hold this area here, I think the NASDAQ will be just fine. I think if we bounce here tomorrow, find some consolidation off this level, and then start to move back higher, I think everything is fine. We can go ahead and continue business as usual. Now, if we break down this 16,155, I don't see much support in this area, right? There's not much congestion, not much consolidation on the market below this 16,155. So if we get that downside move, then things get a little bit more interesting, right? Because you're probably going to move pretty quickly back down to this 16,000 psychological level. Right here around 16K would be where I would expect the NASDAQ to come back down to if we break this 16,155. Now, the reason I bring up this NASDAQ and the reason why I go ahead and show you this before we start this video is because this has a lot to do with whether I plan to hold swing trades or whether I even plan to enter or exit swing trades, right? Because I don't want to be in a Facebook and a Qualcomm swing trade if the NASDAQ starts to break down here at 16,155. If that starts to happen, Facebook will definitely start to lose some momentum, start to move down, and so will Qualcomm, two tech stocks that will most definitely be affected by what the NASDAQ does here. So this is just a little bit of a reminder, guys. If you are in tech swing trades, if you're looking to take swing trades, you need to be aware of what the NASDAQ is doing. And at this point, do I want to be entering more swing trades with decent amount of size, with heavy size? For me personally, to answer that question, I do not. I'm not in a position right now where I want to be putting too much risk on the table because this is starting to get to a questionable area. Do we start to get a little bit of a pullback? Do we hold here and push higher? It's difficult to say. we have to see what happens over the next following week. Tomorrow we have CPI data. That could also put a little bit of a questionable move here on this market. So would I rather, hold on to my swings, see if this holds, rather than go ahead and put more positions on the table when things are a little bit uncertain? Yes, I would rather be on the safe side, not open up anything more with substantial size, and just wait and see, do we hold this level? So that is something that I'm looking at on a daily basis. How's the NASDAQ doing? Is it okay? Are my swing trades okay? Is the NASDAQ going to hold them up? Or do we start to slip here and I need to start managing some of these positions? So that's the first thing. Here's the key levels on the NASDAQ and a little bit about what I'm thinking about on a daily basis to see whether I should continue to hold these. Now, if we go ahead and go into our particular trades, let's first go over the worst one, which is Facebook. So I'll go ahead and pull up on your screen, guys, the P&L for Facebook. You can see that I am still green on the position because I bought it at a very nice time. But, today was a pretty ugly day. The last few days, I've definitely given back some profits after Facebook went ahead and hit this 345. So it's been a little bit of an ugly start to the week for this Facebook swing trade. But at this point, I'll go ahead and show you guys the technicals and why I continue to hold this. Number one, like we just talked about, the NASDAQ, I believe, is still in an okay area. So I don't want to be panicking out of Facebook if the NASDAQ still has that opportunity to go ahead and bounce off this key support level. If I panic out of Facebook, NASDAQ holds that support level and moves back higher the rest of the week, then I will be very upset with myself because I failed to be looking at the tech market that could hold Facebook up here. If I see the NASDAQ start to slip, then of course I need to take action on Facebook here. But you guys can see Facebook, we'll go ahead and go to the daily chart first. Let's go ahead and do an analysis here on Facebook in particular. So you guys know I got into Facebook back here when we started to bottom after earnings. We started to bottom, got into Facebook around the beginning of November. We've had a nice run. We've had a nice profitable run, but I continue to hold it. The reason for that is because I have pretty high conviction on Facebook coming back. I think Facebook is pretty undervalued here. I think, the metaverse and anything future for Facebook should help. Anything future with the metaverse should give Facebook a little bit of a catalyst. Now, that could be overplayed. I'm not for sure just yet. And I also believe without the metaverse, Facebook should probably be higher than where it is right now. And you have NASDAQ at all-time highs. I would expect Facebook to be pushing up as well, decently keeping up with that NASDAQ, as we've seen a few other tech stocks. So in my personal belief, I think Facebook's a little undervalued here. You may not agree with me, but that's okay. That's the beauty of the stock market. So we moved higher. We found resistance at 345. This was a key level that I was watching, and I was pretty aware that we were probably going to find some resistance here. And it's pretty obvious as to why we did. First of all, there's some previous resistance in this area, right here and right here. So pretty obvious resistance at the 345 level. And you also have the 50 SMA. The 50 SMA there acting as resistance. So we have seen a pullback off that level. Now, is this enough to make me panic out of this position? In my opinion, absolutely not. NASDAQ still pretty healthy, and Facebook is still itself holding up some key levels. So in my opinion, guys, I'm not someone that will panic out of a December call option over 2 days, right? As long as the technicals hold up on the NASDAQ, and as long as the technicals hold up on the position that I'm in, I'm going to continue to hold, especially with the entry that I was able to have. Now, I would never be someone that would open up a swing trade up here at resistance, right? So if you were someone that did open up a swing trade at resistance up here at 345, then maybe, the situation's a little bit different. But in my situation, I'm in here down towards the lows, and I know this resistance was something that I was expecting, and I'm okay to hold through. So if we go into the hourly chart, we'll go ahead and break this down a little bit closer. So here's the hourly chart, guys, and here's about the last, it's about the last 2 weeks of Facebook here, the last 2 weeks on the hourly chart. Now, what we can see is that this 333 level is a pretty key level. You can see we found resistance here, 1 and 2, and we went ahead and we broke through it. We held it right here, and we moved higher off this level. So 333 is a key level for me on Facebook. Now, when I have a swing trade on a position, I always want to have key levels. I want to have a level that I need to see it hold above. So here on Facebook, I need to see Facebook hold above 333. If it does hold above 333, then I will continue to hold this position as long as we are not, within a week of my expiration. When it starts to get to about 2 weeks or 1 week until expiration, then I get a little bit, a little bit uncomfortable, and I want to make sure that I'm really careful with what I'm doing. When I have about a month and a half here on this contract, I'm not so panicked about these small pullbacks. So 333 on Facebook in particular, on this stock alone, I want to see it hold above that level. Now, if you guys are in swing trades yourself, you want to have those key levels on your charts. Where do you want to see it hold above? Where do you not want to see it go below? If it goes below, have a plan. If Facebook goes below 333, then my plan is to definitely reevaluate here and maybe go ahead and take my profits. I can always re-enter this if it starts to look better. So I'm looking for a hold at 333. This would actually be a very nice break and retest of previous resistance, and I could definitely see Facebook coming back down, consolidating at this level, and pushing back higher as long as that NASDAQ does the same. We need to see the NASDAQ hold support, push back higher, and I think Facebook could do the exact same move. So at this time, guys, how I'm managing this swing trade is I have my key level on the NASDAQ, I have my key level on Facebook, and as long as it holds there, I'm not going to micromanage this position. Some of the worst things that you can do is micromanage positions, get panicked intraday because you're watching the 1 minute chart and you see Facebook falling on the 1 minute chart, getting nervous, thinking, I'm going to lose a lot of money here. Take a step back, look at some longer term time frames, have your key levels. As long as it holds those levels, continue to hold the position, right? And the biggest thing there is always go into a position with money that you're willing to lose. Because at this point, guys, if I lose some money on Facebook, it's not a big deal for my portfolio. I'm comfortable. I'm going to let the technicals do its job, and I'm going to trust the technical levels. So that's Facebook, guys. The next one I want to show you is Qualcomm. I bought Qualcomm for some earnings continuation. It's obviously a very large move. If we go to the daily chart, you guys can see a very large gap and go type play. The first reason why I got into Qualcomm is because we all know that there is some insane strength around chip stocks, and they had a very strong earnings. I did not play it into earnings. I played the continuation. So I got into it the day after earnings, and we've had a nice move higher, looking for that continuation. We've pushed into all-time highs, but we have been finding a little bit of resistance. So if we go into the hourly chart, we'll go ahead and take a look at this, and we'll go over my key levels for Qualcomm. I'll go ahead and pull up the P&L for you guys to see. It was green today, slightly, and overall the position is still very green. So I am happy with the position, but I am being aware of what is starting to occur here, right? So we are definitely starting to stall at this all-time high. This 168 level is clearly acting as resistance here over the last few days. So I definitely need to be aware of this resistance. I need to know, do I hold through this? Do I be patient? And in my opinion, yes, I'm staying patient as long as we hold some key levels. Now, the first key level for me is right around this 162.50, and the next one is going to be right here, right by these wicks potentially, but I sort of like this body, the bodies here of the candles, right around 157.37. Now, I will have to eventually, make my decision here. I don't think that I would want to see it move all the way back down to 157. Now, the reason I say that is because if Qualcomm was moving down to 157, that is most likely due to the NASDAQ breaking below that support level that we talked about in the beginning of this video. So if the NASDAQ falls below that support level, I'm not going to just let Qualcomm bleed out, because I'm going to believe that the NASDAQ may have more downside if it breaks that level, and maybe it's time for me to get ahead of this and just go ahead and take my profits. But if the NASDAQ is strong, but if Qualcomm lags a little bit and pulls back to around this 162.50, then I'm perfectly fine with that. This is still a very nice consolidation at all-time highs, and the possibility of this moving higher is definitely, just as strong as the possibility of it moving lower. So at this time, Qualcomm, key levels, 162.50, and I'll continue to watch the NASDAQ. If the NASDAQ holds up, holds that key level, I continue to hold Qualcomm. If it starts to break down under that key level on the NASDAQ, then I need to make my decision here on Qualcomm. So that hopefully wraps up a little bit of the idea of how I manage these trades while I'm in swing trades, looking at the market overall, having my key levels, making sure to not micromanage positions, making sure that I'm using the technicals to make my decisions, and not just looking at a small pullback on a 1 minute chart and saying, hey, it's time to cut this. I'm starting to see some weakness. If it's holding my levels, I'm going to continue to hold. I'm going to let the technicals make the decisions. I'm not going to let emotions creep in here. I'm going to let the NASDAQ and the particular stock technicals, decide whether I take my profits or I sell. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. It's a little bit of an idea of how I'm managing these trades. Hopefully it helps. If it does, press the like button. If you guys want to stay tuned for more videos, make sure to subscribe. And before we get into the outro, I want to quickly say thank you guys so much for all of the support on the live streams. We are hitting over 1,000 viewers per live stream. These are numbers that I could never imagined. These are big numbers. When I look around on YouTube, I never expected to be someone that had 1,000 viewers on the live stream. So I really appreciate the support. Hopefully you guys are finding some valuable content out of those morning streams. All right, guys, so that's going to go ahead and wrap it up. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you have any questions on how I manage these positions, any questions on your current positions, make sure to go ahead and drop them down below. I appreciate all the support here on the channel and on the live streams. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, press the like button once again. Hopefully you guys have a great rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Peace.